Hey, okay, guys, coming on video, sometimes I just need to brace myself up. I know people may not really, believe that, but the truth is that I'm shy. I am so shy, and so I have to always, I'm my hype man, my hype woman, before I come on video. But today, right, I just want to talk about mental health. And if you scroll, you would see that today is also the day 16 on the Divorce to Divine 30-day rebirth challenge that I started on the 1st of November, which is my birth month. My birthday was on the 13th. I know I didn't come here, but it was on the 13th and it was such a lovely day. Maybe you'll see, maybe I'll share some pictures. I'm thinking about it, yeah. But what I'm going to talk about today is mental health. I'm really, really big on mental health because it is the bedrock of everything that we want to achieve, we want to be. If you're not mentally okay, it'll be very difficult for you to achieve what you want to achieve. And then, even if you achieve something, it'll be difficult for you to sustain. Because you need to be, you know how you work your muscles when you are working out in the gym. That's how you work your mind and your mental muscles to continue to be resilient, to stay positive, and every single time a challenge hits, to think about things that you can do to maintain that mental wellness and other wellnesses that you require in your life. All right, so today's challenge is about mental health, and what I talked about today in the community, in which I'm just giving you a sneak peek, because even though I have a close community right now where we're sharing the 30-day challenge, I also want people to also maybe benefit once in a while, from some of the things that we're learning and growing in. And today is about support, asking for support, leaning on support. So I started it by saying needing help doesn't have a look. It doesn't have a look. But asking for it always looks beautiful. When I saw this quote, it struck me, right, that we place a look on asking for help. But really, there's no look. But when you now ask for help, it's a beautiful thing, because it shows that you acknowledge your strengths, you acknowledge your weaknesses. It also shows that you are bold. It also shows that you are vulnerable, right? And it just shows a quiet strength that's in you. But the best thing for me, apart from all that, right, about asking for help, is that it also helps you to lighten your burden. I'm really big on people trying to achieve a balance in their lives by spreading the weight. So you need help with something, you ask for help. You outsource some of the help that you need. Outsourcing some of the help that you need allows you, right, to focus on the areas that you can manage, handle, and give those ones your 100%. So of course the quality of what you will be bringing out from that you're focusing on will be amazing. It also allows you to build that trust in people, because that's also very important, as in this day and age, building a community of people around you that you can trust. It also allows you to take time out for yourself, to rest, to pause, to breathe, to think, to reflect. Because when you're handling everything yourself, you don't have any time for you. And at some point, you will explode. Your mind cannot take it, and if your mind can't take it, then the rest of your body will not take it. There will be a point where you just shut down. And an unplanned shutdown isn't very, very good. So it has its detriments, right? So seeking support, asking for support, learning to accept support will give you the opportunity to actually, plan a shutdown so you can rest, and then come back revitalized and ready to face, the world again. So this is what I shared in the group. Today is a challenge, so it's time to connect with a friend or a family member or a neighbor or even domestic assistant or even a colleague in the office. It is really time to do so, to ask for help. The Bible tells us that we have not because you ask not. So you might think something is too much for you to handle, and it really is too much for you to handle. But you also know that you need help. But if you don't ask for help, what happens? Can you handle it? The answer is no. So you should also learn to ask for help and learn to receive. Another thing that I want to also share here about asking for help is that a lot of times we make excuses, right? And you hear people say, oh, we don't really need support, like don't trust domestic help, or I don't need this, it's tough to trust people. They're just excuses. They can be valid excuses, but they're excuses. Because we as human beings we are required to build trust. You build trust and you earn trust, right? So, and you're also required to also have wisdom in the relationships that you are building so that you can lean on help. While I was going through my own, it's not as if I'm still divorced, right? But while I was going through my separation to divorce, I had a little kid. And with little kids, you have to be there for them as a mother, as a parent. And I had a really, really pressurizing job that really took a lot of my time. I had to, a kind of support, one of the support that I leaned on was after school support. That's the number one support. So I got him in the school. I and my co-parent got him in the school, and then of course registered for the bus to take him to the after school. Now there were times when, and so with the after schools, there's a pick-up time, and if you don't pick up at the time that you're supposed to pick up, you have to pay late pick-up fees. And so another support that I had to lean on was approval from my boss to be able to leave at a particular time to pick him up. Because we were really, when you're working in places like the bank, you may not have the time, you don't have the opportunity to leave because of the workload and stuff, right, that you have. And so I had to, have a conversation with my boss, and at that time, and we talked about it, and this is what I needed, and he approved that I could leave, at least leave an hour early so that I can, this is an hour early after the work hours anyway, but I just needed to have that approval because of the kind of job that we did. So this allowed me to plan, make sure I did my work, and then I'm leaving at 6 p.m. for example, or just past 5, because there was always a lot of traffic, so I can go and pick him up before 7, and then we head home, just get him sorted, right? Now, if I did not, I know it's okay. So a lot of people are ashamed to speak about their situation. Everyone feels that they have to put up this front, but I wouldn't say everyone, but some people feel that they have to put up this front of perfection in their personal lives, and but I could not hide behind any perfection. I needed my boss to know exactly my situation and why I needed that support, and the support was approving that I could leave at a particular time, and so I can go pick up my son. So that's another type of support. So you can see I mentioned the after school care support. The second one was the approval support from my boss so I could leave without feeling guilty or on edge from about leaving the office. The third support is support from friends and mothers, right? Because there were times when I couldn't pick up my son at the time, and I had my sister. I also had another mother, who I could lean on, to pick up my son, and then I would just meet them, instead of driving to the school, I would drive to their home and then collect my son from there. So I also had those two supports to help me. So at any point in time, like if this one could not help me, was not available, the other one would. So I also had that. So that's support from friend and family, right? And then the other support that I also required was support from co-parents. So there were times when I couldn't pick up my son at the time I needed, or one of those other school runs, or stuff that we needed to do with our kid, and I wasn't able to be there. I would lean on support of my co-parent, and he was always ready to do what he needed to do. Right? He rose up to the occasion. So that communication was required. So over time, right, you would have me. It was just me and my son. I didn't have domestic help, right? And so I was doing everything on my own. But I would have someone who could come and clean my house, at particular times when I was there, right, and everything. But the thing is that as we continued to progress every single month, year, it became really difficult to have someone come in, because of schedules and stuff. And so the next support I required was domestic help, domestic assistance. So before this time, I'd had domestic assistance with my son from when he was born. So I've had this particular lady, wonderful lady, working with me since she joined my home 2 weeks before I gave birth to my son. So she's been with me for a very long time. But at the particular point in time in our lives, right, she was really ill and she could not be around for over a year. And so in fact, for over a year, I was without support. I did get someone, but it didn't really work out. We didn't jive, and so I decided, okay, I was going to stay without support. So I relied on support of friends, family. Sometimes my mom would come and spend time on my, and that would help, So my sister is there, my mom would be there. My mom would come sometimes. My friends, other mothers would be there to help me out. Yeah. But, when she was well and everything, it was nice. And she was well. I was like, you know what? We talked and she said she wanted to come back. I was like, yeah, come back. I was really great, happy. My son was already older, and everything, and so she's back. Now, what kind of support am I getting from her? Because now I and my son had found a way for us to live together, and of course he started learning his chores at home and all that, which lightened my own, lightened the things that I needed to do in the home. Because you can also, depending on how old your kids are, you can get support from your kids, right? And so she came back. So what does she do for me? There are different things that she does for me, right? But she also helps me to stay sane. So I'm not thinking about every single thing to do myself. And I like that because I know that I've outsourced certain things to her, like prepping his food and stuff, and making sure that, one or two things are done, going to the market for me, because going to the market is no time, and I'm imagining it's market on Saturday. Gosh. Anyway, that's not one of my favorite pastimes, to be honest. So I outsourced those things to her, and she's done a splendid job, right? So she's been with me, the entire period, and I've trusted her, right, to be able to do those things, and she has risen up to the occasion. So that's another type of support, right? So what are the supports I've mentioned now? After school care, my boss, And my boss could also mean my colleagues as well, because sometimes you might need support at work to be able to complete something. So that's why it's always important that you learn to collaborate. So instead of having working in a siloed mentality, you're working in a collaborative mentality. You're carrying your colleagues along. So at some point they can stand in for you efficiently because they know exactly what you're working on. So that was another support in the colleague area. You also have my co-parent, I also have my friends and other mothers, like another community. I have my family, so I had my sister and my mom to come in at some point to support. Then I had my kid as well. As they grow older, you can actually start training your kids at an early age to do certain things, right? So that's another type of support. Because so when everything is on you, you're like, oh my God, where do I start from? That's another one. And then of course domestic assistance. So these are the supports that I have. That's 7 supports, right? So this is my support system. This is the support system that I've leaned on over the years to be able to stay sane because I'm doing so much. Another support that I know that I should lean on is a driver, like a mobility assistant. That's what I like to call them. And I will get there. So that's one support that I don't have in my life right now. And I will get there at some point. But what I'm just trying to point out, guys, is that you need to be able to open up your mind and yourself to ask for support and then to receive the support gracefully. 2 different things, I tell you. So I wanted to share this today to anyone who's having a challenge, right, with support. Right? Open up your mind. There are different ways that you can get in on support that would lighten your load and give you enough time for you to rest, to just close your mind and just pause from all the craziness in the world, because you need that time. You need to just shut down, right? It also allows you to think critically at different things in your life. Maybe you want to go into business, or you want to just maybe take an exam to get a certification. You're not going to be able to focus when you're not getting any support in some things, right? So learn to lean on support, learn to be open to support, learn to receive support, right? Yeah. So just I'll talk about that, right? Yes. And it was, guys, it's real. It's real. I'm so happy I've been talking about this for a long time, right? I talked about leaning on support in my book, A Bouquet from the Flame, that I published in 2020. I also talked about this spreading of your weight, leaning on support, a year ago. And I posted that on YouTube because it's really important, an important part of our lives that we should inculcate in our lives. So if you're not leaning on support, if you're finding it difficult to lean on support, I think that it's important that you look within, look inward and ask yourself, why is it difficult for me to lean on support? Because you might need some working on, all right? And if you realize that you need some working on, just send me a DM. Let's talk. I'm here to help. Okay. So, ciao.